How to start, how to stop overthinking and just start. In today's podcast, we will talk about the science behind overthinking. You will learn a few researches and ideas about, and also paradoxes that we are living in a day to day and not knowing what is actually stopping us from doing. So, you know this feeling. You know this feeling that there is something important needs to start, a project, a conversation in life, a decision, a change. You need to take action. And instead of that, you are going into the endless loops, planning, mental rehearsal. And you know what? Funny enough, we also being told and taught that scenario planning. What if this or that goes wrong? So we keep planning. And today you're gonna learn why that planning is actually stopping you for taking actions. The science behind that also includes the spirit, because human is a science and the spirit having a human experience. So let's dive into it. First of all, the overthinking, it's not a laziness or a lack of motivation. It's the reality that more we actually think about starting, the harder is to start and the harder is to begin. So think about it that there is a research that in overthinking process, the entire overthinking process involve it's happening in the hyperactivity of the prefrontal cortex, which actually it's your executive center responsible for making decisions. And what is crucial here, it is a problem solving center. And where it's over reactive, it actually creates analyzes paralyzes. And let me know here if you ever felt like you are stuck in the endless analyzes and paralyzes. Because actually study also shows that in the MRI that overthinkers have a dysregulated default mode networks, meaning that we're going into those loops about the past and about the future, which actually prevent the action because the action is happening in the presence. In consciousness, that's also where it happens. We are less conscious. It's a 5% of our daily activities and decisions. It's happening on the subconscious level. And also, all the overthinking happens on the subconscious level. And the conscious is action. So let's move on into the next, the dopamine reward delay. So basically, your brain reward system provides a motivation chemicals when you complete the task. You know, these moments when you have tick, done. But when you are stuck in overthinking, the dopamine never hit comes because you don't do those ticks. You know, sometimes we also like to do the to-do list, and we put everything on to-do list because also it feels good to make this tick, you know, done. That's the dopamine reward. And also, this is exact point that will really change your way of thinking. Why? Because the brain becomes addicted to planning. And that's research as showing us that we are addicted to planning. Because for our brain, there is not much difference between planning, thinking, and actually doing. So it feels productive without requiring vulnerability. The action requires vulnerability. It actually requires for us to be okay with the imperfection, the steps, and learning. Another concept is the cortisol cascade. So basically, when you are facing important decision, overthinkers experience some very, very high level of cortisol. And cortisol is a stress hormone. And what's happened, of course, when you have high level of a stress hormone, it's the biological stress responses is in the making starting literally dangerous. So our brain, our body, and our system, your system feels like you are going to die. And every step is a risk. So it goes back into addiction, planning loop because it feels productive. So, what is the psychology of analyzes paralysis? So, the research constantly shows that perfection is the enemy of action. So, every single perfectionist here in the room wanting to be perfect, not making mistakes, feeling like I need to know more. Um, I am not ready yet. I need to read more, and so on and so on. It's having waiting for this perfect conditioning, for this perfect plans. It's create impossible standards. So you are sabotaging yourself by having and creating those impossible standards. But I also know that many of you, and let me know if it's you, heard from your parents and school and so on, I know you can do better. I have a high standard for myself and for you. Uh, it's good to have a super high standards and do perfect job. But nobody tells you that those high standards will prevent you from growth, will prevent you of going out into the world and learning and doing something. So creating impossible standards create impossible movements. So it literally creates and make you stuck. It is, in other words, this is the fear dressed as preparation. What does it mean? That chronic overthinking is often a fear dressed in more information, planning, certainty, and literally what is doing to you and to us. And I want you to stop right now this video, if you're watching later, and just think about it. What emotions and emotional discomfort that prevents. So what would create for you? What you afraid? What kind of emotions, your own emotions, are you afraid by taking that action? Is it the fear of being seen, not being enough? Is it imposter syndrome? So now we're going into a spiritual part in consciousness. And what it is, it's actually, and I want you to have a deep breath and think about it. And some of you may be like, no, it's not, and so on, but breathe. What is the overthinking? It's an ego desperate attempt to control the outcomes. It is desperate because the ego wants to control the outcome, control something that it's rather impossible because there is so many variations that we cannot control externally, but we can control internally. So we're going into those mental loops and unwillingness to act without guarantee. We want the guarantee. We want the certainty. We want to know if it's going to work before we take the action. And paradoxically, this stopping you from taking the action. And the present moment paradox, what it's really about, that every single action happens in the present moment, and everything overthinking happens in the past, or anxiety in the future. So longer you spend in all those moments overthinking and thinking and analyzing and anxiety, you don't create the action. And this is where it comes the consciousness. When you are conscious, you are in the present. When you are in the present, you are able to take actions and align actions. And I want to give you a few really strong aha moments. And those are the breakthrough aha moments for today. Number one, it's I love to ask them, if you don't know what is the aha moment is when you think like, hey, that's interesting. Hey, I want to know more. Oh, yeah, like these moments of like, oh, that's interesting. And if you have those moments during this video, also let me know in the comments. Okay, so number one, aha moment. Thinking about starting is not starting. Your brain cannot really distinguish between planning and overthinking avoidance. So for him, when you plan, it still feels like doing something productive. It feels like, even though there is no progress, it feels like a progress. It creates a procrastination, and without the deadline, it creates never ending research stories. Myth number two, perfect information myth. The truth is, even no matter how much you want, and even though even more now, we want more, we have access to more, you will never have all the information you need, you think you need to make a decision. The research show us that successful people act with the 70% information and the rest are just on the go as they go. Number three, your brain rewards analyzes, not action. Also, the neuroscience show us that thinking about doing something is activating very similar neuropath that actually doing. So your brain gets dopamine hit from planning, making it easier, and doing more of action. And the AI and easy access to information increase that. At the same time as the speed of the changes and the speed of the unknown is overwhelming us. So we are living in the in uncertain times with the unlimited access into the information, which creates literally a chronicle overthinking paralysis. And then number four, the action reveals the information. The thinking will never do. So the information you need often only can be tested and only can be validated through doing no thinking. I remember I had the situation when years ago I went to the speaking training and the public speaking training, and I was like, yeah, I'm the one, I'm gonna do it, and I will be doing. I was very determined to take any actions, and the host is asking who wants to come into the stage and say something and do, as I've been doing a lot of workshops and I'm generally in front of the audience. I raised my hand, I went there, and he said, okay, let's do the action, let's do the Facebook live. At that time I even didn't have a Facebook live, I didn't have installed, you had to download something and so on. And he said, yes, we're doing now. We're downloading now. So basically, he pressed the button, he downloaded, and now he said, okay, say something. He did a little intro, and then he told me, say something. And my first thought was, it's so easy to think what you're gonna say, but when you are on the stage, you actually don't know what you're gonna say, or you say something different. The thinking about doing, it's not doing itself. And only by doing, you can reveal the information that it's missing, or the information that is unnecessary. It's the experimentation that it's the most powerful part of the growth. And this is how we learn, how the children learn, how they experience. Think about a child thinking about walking. I had this conversation with our children recently because they were doing the snowboarding learning, and they were like, yeah, I cannot, I'm falling all the time. Am I good at that? Or I cannot do it, and maybe I'm not meant to do it, and so on and so on. But think about if you as a child would question Oh, what if I'm not good at walking? Oh, what if I'm not meant to walk? Oh, maybe walking is not for me. Oh, I cannot walk. Where you will be right now? So every time you start to hesitate or think about it, think about the walking, how you learn to walk. And nothing changed from there. Nothing really changed. We can read about things, but reading and knowing doesn't really make doing and learning. It's the fastest and the easiest way, the experimentation. And I will give you a few things how to bypass that analyzes, paralyzes in the morning. So, first thing in the morning, instead of, yeah, okay, of course, no phones, no emails, but the first action of stand up, like not lying in bed. I know it happens to many of us, sometimes to me as well, but standing up and saying, hey, I'm standing up. That's my first action of the day. You can make your bed if you want, you can do a sport. That's what I do. Then you have a commitment to yourself, 2 minutes of action. So I do a 2 minutes of action before my every planning. Like I decided to go live with you 3 times a week, and I'm doing this. Of course, do I think I want to postpone or do? Yes, but I'm committed to take the actions, and I'm here with you, and I'm learning via experimenting and getting better and better. I give you a next tip, which is perfectionism reality check. So I want you to list about 5, 10 things, the perfect conditions you're waiting for. And ask yourself, what is the percentage I actually need? What is the necessary percentage? There must be percentage to take that action. Try to find the difference between what is an excellence and what is perfection. The fear. So, how do you deal with that? Um, it's just facing. So, the fear, when you face the fear, it lightened. So, I am scared of. I feel the fear. I'm afraid of. And then you see reveal of the subconscious old patterns. You will see what is there. The subconscious is there, and when these things happen, it comes up to see it, and that's a consciousness. Try to also say, what is the good enough? And of course, some people will say, what I do here right now is not good enough, but many will be like, oh my goodness, she is doing it. And I'm speaking to those people. I'm speaking to you if you feel inspired, if you feel like, hey, it's interesting, if you feel like I want to take actions and also live and move towards my dreams, my dream outcomes, because this is how it starts. And look at the couple of minutes of surrounding into where you are, what you do, how your life is, seeing where it is and surround to it without panic, anxiety, and running away, just being in the present moment. And at the end, I want to go with you through the 5 myths of preparation. I want to give you those because those are the extremely dangerous, because preparation, it feels like doing. And that's, if there is a one thing you want to take from this podcast, is that where do you over prepare? Where do you prepare for 5 million scenarios without taking actions? One of my clients was preparing and writing the business plan for 2 years. And when we started to work together, she literally created her company within a couple of months with the first clients. So where are those preparation? And I want you to dive into the 5 minutes of preparation. Number 1, I need to complete plan before I start. The business plan, the investors, the pitches, the information. The reality is the most successful ventures succeeding through adaptation, succeeding through creation, through making mistakes, not into sticking into the plans. And the best plan is the plan you can change. But how flexible you are with the plan if you keep following your plan? Ask yourself. Number two, more research will make me more confident. Everyone who is waiting for the confidence and be more confident to do something, listen to this right now. The reality is confidence comes from action. Study reveal that people who wait for confidence before acting are waiting for impossible indefinitely. Those acting despite uncertainty develop confidence through experience. And you have all this, if you are doing confidence training workshops and reading books about confidence, I really disappoint you here. Take actions. Every actions through, no matter how big or small it is, 60 seconds, 10 minutes, whatever works for you, create that confidence. Myth number 3. I can think my way to the right answer, or I can research my way to the right answers. The reality is, many of us is waiting and thinking. And complex problems, and I repeat that, complex problems require experimentation, not just analysis. And why require experimentation? Because every experiment bring the up. First of all, when you do new things, you are in your conscious space. I will talk about it more in the next podcast, because I'm an innovator. And the magic of innovation is, and doing new things, is that you are in your conscious space. And as by being in this conscious space and by doing experimentation, you upgrade the level, you change your consciousness. And Einstein said, a problem cannot be solved from the same consciousness level that has been created. And how many of us is keep solving the problems from the same consciousness place? And we often say, you cannot have different results by doing the same things. That's true. But when you do the same things, not think about the same things, you create the loops of experimentation and you grow consciously, meaning you are in different space. You're not different, the same person. So you grow your consciousness. And myth number 4, if I start before ready, I'm going to fail. And that's the big one. We think that if we start before, before we are ready, before we have all the information, we're going to fail. And the big aha moment for you today here is failure is a data. It's not the sentence of death. It's a data. You can write anywhere. Rejection is a data. Failure is a data. Rejection is also kind of course, failure if you take it. But everything is data. I am a scientist, researcher, but also a very much a human spirit in the business. Because everything what we do in the business and in the life, it's the data. The failure is your data. And the goal is not avoiding failure, meaning you will not have the data for important information. It's actually gather as much as you want, as much as you can, the data, so you can create something. Think about being an engineer or being a researcher or anything what you create, a business leader. You create something, you want to have as most data as possible. So you should go for having as many failures as possible to create the data. What works, what doesn't work. This is what innovation is. This is what the future mindset is and future readiness today. But it's not in 2 weeks or 2 years, it's today. And myth number 5, good work requires perfect conditions. Hey, how often do we wait for the perfect weather to go to run? Mm, Many of us would say yes. Why not me? Me as well. So finally, I got myself a treadmill. So I do not have any more of excuses. It's raining. It's cold. I just have a treadmill, and I know I can run anytime I want because it's there. So also you set up yourself for avoiding. For actually, you set up yourself for success to overcome your own limitations. So also on top of it, creativity research tell us that all the constraints and imperfect actions and conditions literally make the outcome much better. So the best work comes from those limitations and disadvantage, and probably also, if you think about it, the treadmill, why was created? To avoid all those limitations. Yes. So let's wrap it up. The overthinking paradox. From analysis to actions and from thinking to living. The overthinking paradox resolves around the path that it's through walking but not starting at the map. So every single moment of the analysis and not spent on experimentation, experiential learning, it's delayed growth. Yes. And we're talking so much about the growth mindset. And we learn from the books and research that the growth mindset is the ability to take actions here in present moment, in present time, to overcome the overthinking. And really take this to your heart. Your overthinking is not your character flaw, or it's not your problem you have to fix. It's literally outdated strategy for survival. And the science behind us is very, very clear. The action rewired the brain that thinking will never do. And 80% of whatever we learn through 90% through reading, how much do you remember from the last book you read? Maybe 2 or 3 sentences, maybe the main thing. But if you don't act on it, sooner or later you won't know where it come from. So you strengthen each time you choose doing, overthinking, you strengthen those neural pathways of a courage, creativity, confidence, and the future readiness. And something to take as well, that every master was once a disaster. You know this old saying that every expert was once beginner. And I know that it's hard to start something new when you are already expert in something, because it feels like uncomfortable. It feels like you don't know anything. You have to make so many mistakes, but you already knew everything. But every action, it's experimental. It actually speed up your outcome. So stop thinking your way into action and start the action. Start the path to clarity through action. We often wait for clarity. Overthinking is also waiting for the clarity. But you don't need a perfect plan. You need a small experiments daily and the data. The last message for me is from me and for all of us is that the failure is data. So next time when you're scared, you think, I'm actually preventing myself from gathering the data so I can create what I want. Take care and see you next time.